everybody, JC here, and welcome to a Friday edition of TNInews Live. We are about 1 week away from the New York Toy Fair, and we've got quite a bit of news to cover today. We've got Marvel Legend reveals, which turns out was not Daredevil related, though the figures we talked about on Wednesday should still be coming. It's just that's not what they revealed in yesterday's live stream. But we did get some new reveals, some Spider-Verse figures that I first told you guys were coming, I want to say back in November. So those got revealed yesterday, which we're going to go all over everything here in just a few minutes. And then a few other things as well. But before we get into today's news, let's just do the quick recap here. See who's in the house. I see Everett is here. Good to see you, Everett. Kobo Cop, can't wait for the stream, Jay. I scored a DC Multiverse Fear Toxin Batman today at Target. Nice. That is a Platinum Edition figure, so I believe Target's probably the only place that's going to get it. Maybe Walmart, but Target. I mean, eventually it might show up online, but primarily with those red Platinum Edition sticker figures, those are supposed to be in-store Chase figures. Best Buy and GameStop had the rest of the wave in stock to ship today. Nice. Yeah, that wave went up for pre-order today, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. Toy Matrix, what is up? Judge Dreads is in the house. Good to see you. Zim is here. Good to see you, my friend. Pasiano, happy weekend to you. Pasiano, I think that's how you say it, right? Steve Areno, good to see you. Action figure aficionados, action figure enthusiasts. Every action figures are great. I mean, that's just where it's at, right? Austin is in the house. Happy Friday to you. Jeremy, good to see you. Good afternoon. Figure Fury is here. Good to see you. Phil is in the house. Welcome, Phil. New action figure. Actually, I think, Phil, you've been an action figure enthusiast for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. But good to see you, all you guys in green. Let's see who else we got here. Did anyone get their Batman? Yeah, I haven't looked to see if they've sold out anywhere, but I pre-ordered the new 89 Batman today. I got it from Big Bad Toy Store, so I wasn't that interested in the Christian Bale Batman, but I definitely wanted, even though I have so many 89 Batmans. I got the Mezco one, I got the NECA one, I've got the Flash movie one from McFarlane, I've got the box set one from the 89 movie, even though I actually never opened those figures, but which is probably why I went on and got this one. CJ is in the house. CJ with Action Grip. Good to see you. Maurice is in the house. Good time zones to all. Jay's toy collection from the UK is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Good evening to you. You are in that later time zone. You probably know the Storm Collectibles Street Fighter. Yep, it is available at Big Bad Toy Store. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Paisano. Okay. Thank you. Paisano. I guess I was throwing that Z in there for no reason. Paul Morales, good to see you. So 3005. Hola from Mexico. Good to see you. Jeremy's in the house. I got 89 Batman and Bale Batman from Big Bad Toy Store. Is the Venom really bulky or is he slender? No, he's pretty bulky. He's tall. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Phil, when you first hit the... So you're a long-time action figure enthusiast. Good to know, Phil. Always appreciate you guys and your support. Double A. We got a couple of new action figure enthusiasts like I checked earlier today. We're up to 40. So um, we're slow growth, but still growth. So I love it. I love it. And if you do want to become an action figure enthusiast, yeah, there is a link in the video description, and always much appreciated. Go look up. I don't know about figure quality, but McFarlane DC Multiverse has been much more fun to hunt for in stores compared to Marvel Legends lately. I never go to stores, so I just pre-order what I want. So it's delivered to me. Far less stress, time and wasted time and energy than trying to go into a physical store. But that's just me. 68. Ooh, you're an old timer, my friend. You're older than I am. Damn. All right, so let us get into today's news. Let's start. What do we want to start with today? Do we want to start or finish with Marvel? Let's finish with Marvel today because that's by far the biggest or the most news I have from toy companies. So let's start with Star Wars. Star Wars is very slow right now, but there is a fan stream coming next week, right before Toy Fair. So February 26th. So what is that? That's Wednesday, next Wednesday. So 11 a.m. So we'll get some Star Wars reveals, and then of course Toy Fair is starts next. Well, technically it starts next Saturday, though. Actually, we're going to get a little bit of news on Friday. So the Loyal Subjects is holding a special event Friday morning, where I'm told we will be getting some mask news. So Loyal Subjects is one of those companies that has acquired licensing rights to do some of Hasbro's products, mostly doll stuff like Rainbow Bright, My Buddy, but Mask was one of the licenses that they announced a while back that they'd be doing. And so we are going to get some news next week on that front. I don't know how much news. I don't know how much they'll have on display or what, but whatever it is, we'll have it up on TNI. Pretty, Friday, late Friday morning. Let's see. So let's keep it back. Let's keep it to Hasbro, and so we talked about this a little bit on Wednesday. So I told you how, besides the Marvel Legend fan stream yesterday, Hasbro also held, their financial year-end financial call where they give the results of their fourth quarter along with their, total year-end results, and then talk about like strategies that they are going to be implementing in the coming year to make it sound like, to shareholders and stuff that everything is going great. And truth be told, it worked. If you're a shareholder of Hasbro, um, their stocks surged yesterday after their call. So and they didn't have like super growth or anything, but they didn't like they're basically flat is kind of probably the best way to describe it. But again, a lot of this is based on speculation of how things are going to go. And Hasbro announced their new strategy for 2025, which they are calling "Playing to Win," and they've broken it down into 5 bullet points. So, profitable franchises asserting the fundamentals of profitable play-focused brands, aging up, increasing the play and collectible appeal of fans aged 13 and above. So that's you guys across all Hasbro brands. Everyone plays, expanding reach and opportunity areas, including girls and emerging markets. So that's one of the things they talked about in the call yesterday, is that they do plan on focusing essentially on more in the way of girl oriented type stuff. Digital and direct, building video games, services, and e-commerce. Video games is definitely an area that Hasbro is looking to get more and more into. They're going to be doing in-house games and also working with other outside video game companies. So specifically, they mentioned so they announced that they are going to be entering into a joint partnership with Saber Interactive, who does Warhammer 40,000. So this is definitely getting a little bit out of my wheelhouse because these are not games that I really play or anything. Of course, I've heard of Warhammer, but but and they said basically in this joint publishing venture, which means it's going to be developed by both Hasbro and this Saber Interactive. Um, one of their one of Hasbro's tentpole brands, and they didn't specifically say which one, but likely they're Transformers or GI Joe, maybe Monopoly, was going to be getting this game treatment. Now they did mention something about a GI Joe video game very briefly at the beginning of the call, so I don't know if that was like maybe what it's going to be. So like maybe a Warhammer 40,000 type GI Joe game. I don't know, but that's something they kind of teased. Magic the Gathering, which is a big performer for Hasbro, is going to be getting the Final Fantasy treatment crossover. Those are already available on Amazon. Also, Marvel, starting with Spider-Man. I think I talked about this on on Monday. Also, I've seen some rumors that suggest that perhaps there's going to be a Magic the Gathering GI Joe crossover announced later this year, kind of like we saw them do with Transformers. So, again, Magic the Gathering is not my thing. I don't do the whole trading card game thing, but for those of you who do, just keep an eye out for that. As far as struggling brands, Star Wars and Nerf were the ones called out the most. They saw a 12% decline in consumer products with again Star Wars and Nerf being called out specifically. Um, Nerf, they're talking about reinventing their business model for Nerf, or so whatever that means. But in Transformer or Star Wars, they basically blamed on the fact that there's been no major entertainment properties for Star Wars, other than a few of the Disney Plus series, which have had mixed reviews and such. So that's what they were really blaming the decline of Star Wars on. I'm sure it has nothing to do with just redoing 50 million clones of Mandalorians, but there you go. Transformers was listed as a strong performer, um, in part because of the movie, the Transformer 1 movie last year. They also said they saw an uptick in point of sales for Captain America based products after the movie came out. So, and I feel like Marvel is continuing to be a fairly decent performer for Hasbro. Going to be more of a focus on cheaper toys, and when I say cheaper, $10 to $20 range, but I don't mean as in they're lowering the prices on things like Marvel Legends. More like you're going to see more things like them focus on things like their mix masher lines that you've maybe seen for Marvel and Star Wars and other brands. So more of the kid oriented stuff you're going to see them starting to put a little more focus on. They're expecting, well, they expect toy sales to be relatively flat this year. They are expecting to see an uptick in toy sales uh, starting in 2026 and 2027 due to entertainment properties. They didn't specifically say which ones, but I suspect Magic the Gathering, which it was recently announced that they are going to be working with, was it Legend? I think it was the people who do the Godzilla movies. um, yeah, Legendary Entertainment. So They're basically going to be doing movies and TV shows for Magic the Gathering. So I suspect that's going to be part of it. But then also probably Marvel, I think, is also going to play a role in that with the upcoming Fantastic Four, and the 2 Avengers movies and stuff. So I suspect that they are thinking that that's going to be help boost toy sales for them, which also to me would suggest that for those of you that keep claiming, Marvel Legends is going to be discontinued from Hasbro, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. Star Wars, maybe I could, if they were going to give up one of those Disney licenses, I think it would be Star Wars, and then they might keep Marvel. I don't think they'll actually give up either one, because there are Star Wars movies supposedly in the works in the somewhat near future, so they probably will hold on to Star Wars just to wait for that. It was announced yesterday another collaboration between Mattel with Play-Doh and Barbie, so probably not going to be that interesting to you guys, but again, just these 2 companies that used to be bitter enemies are now collaborating more and more. So, and yes, in the call yesterday, you could definitely tell that they're going to continue to as they have been for the last several years, where they are moving to a licensing model. That's not to say they're going to completely quit making toys. I don't think that's the case, but they are going, especially with one of the things they mentioned was how they're, even though the tariffs, the proposed, the current administration's current, proposed tariffs, just the threat of those have caused these companies to start taking actions, moving factories, changing the way they have figures produced, which of course is going to add to cost. So just dealing with the threat of the possible tariffs is something that they, mentioned that they're essentially preparing for, which was another reason why they suggested that toy sales this year would be likely would be flat. But with the licensing model, when you're letting other people make the stuff, then things like tariffs don't have nearly as big of an impact on you. So, but in the call, they suggested that their licensing business has grown 60%. So that's not just action figures; that's everything. And it's not just toys. Like they mentioned things like you're going to be seeing interactive hotels based on Transformer brands and theme parks and things like that. So it's not just toys we're talking about. They're licensing their brands out for other things, clothes, like I say, theme parks, whatever. That's all part of licensing. So I think that's pretty much the highlights I have for you on that front. There was no mention at all whatsoever about whether they plan on moving out of Rhode Island, which is something that's been kind of rumored and talked about in the world of business, but no mention whatsoever about that. So I don't know if that means they just haven't finalized things or if they're planning on staying in Rhode Island. But again, nothing was talked about like that. And again, for those throwing out headlines like Hasbro's stopping making toys, that's not the case here. Yes, they are changing their business model. They're trying to adapt to things. They're focusing on trading cards and video games a lot more than they used to. They are licensing brands out to other companies, but I don't think you're going to see them like completely quit making toys, at least nowhere in the near future, meaning in the next several years. All right. What else do we got? Nothing on the G.I. Joe front since I talked to you guys on Wednesday. McFarlane Toy Front, we already briefly talked about it, but new pre-orders today. The Batman, the new Kristen Bale Batman, and the new '89 Batman. So let me just do a quick look. Looks like 89 Batman is sold out on Amazon. What about us? Same thing with Kristen Bale of a Big Bad Toy Store. Both sold out there. Entertainment Earth. Individuals are still sold out. You can still buy a case, and if you buy the case, you will get one Scarecrow figure. So that is the Chase figure. So that is another one that's been showing up at Target stores. But if you want to ensure to get one, you can buy a case at Entertainment Earth, which is still available, and you get this guy. And these images are via Rob D Toys on Instagram. So, but there's your good look at the new, Batman, the Scarecrow movie Scarecrow. I guess was it actually when I talked earlier about the Scare Toxin Batman, that one was the gold label one. So that one is 100% a Target exclusive. So that one you can only get at Target. It's the Scarecrow that's the Platinum Edition Chase, which is being offered at least if you buy a case, you can get online. So it's confused, that whole platinum stuff, because at New York Toy Fair they started talking about these different color sticker platinum figures, and they said with the red one it was supposed to be essentially in store, but here we are. You can see some places are offering it online. So really doesn't, I'm not sure what's really supposed to be different about the red label platinum edition figure and a regular silver label platinum edition figure, but there you go. As I said, I got the 89 Batman figure for myself on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store before it sold out. I just wanted to see. Rob takes a lot of great pictures of McFarlane stuff, so if you haven't checked out his Instagram, you should. But this was the picture. This was the picture that sold me on getting the Batman, because I think these two together look good. Which, by the way, I think I forgot to mention this. So I talked last week. You may recall I talked about how I had pre-ordered the Christopher Reeve Superman from Amazon, and I ended up getting the Platinum Edition, drunk Superman that I really didn't want. And then you guys recommended that I check out Nerdzoic that still had them in stock, so I did. And honestly, he showed up literally. I pre-ordered, I think, like the next day, and I just did regular shipping. And I think he's located in Pennsylvania, if Nerdzoic is, I believe. So they're not super far away, but I pre-ordered, or I purchased it, and it went out like almost immediately, and I got it like maybe it was 2 days, but really quick. So I now have my Christopher Reeve Superman, my regular version that I wanted, which I haven't opened yet, obviously, but I will open at some point. And very happy with that, because it had sold out pretty much everywhere else. So even though Nerdzoic's not a sponsor of the sites or the channel, giving him a shout out for pretty good customer service there. All right. So now we've got, let's see, what else we got? Let's jump over to Mattel. So Mattel will be at Toy Fair this year. There will be some reveals, but they're also like right after Toy Fair are having their online revealed event like they did last year. So everything they'll be revealing will be Mattel Creation exclusives, but they released the schedule, so that's taking place on March 6th. It's kind of like a live stream. It's not really, I don't know, it's pre-recorded, but it's like a video thing where they show off product. I think it was pre-recorded, but essentially a live fan stream type thing. But again, everything they show off during this event will be Mattel Creation exclusives. So there will be some Masters of the Universe at 10 a.m. or 10:01 to be exact. And it looks like it's only going to last for about 15 minutes, assuming they stay on track. And then WWE will be at 10:15 a.m. I've heard rumors that we might be seeing some type of Cody Rhodes exclusive for WWE. No Jurassic Park, which is not surprising. Really, as far as like boys action figures, this year it's just Masters of the Universe and WWE. Last year, I think, is when they debuted Street Sharks, which seems like maybe has come to an end already. The Street Sharks stuff, so I don't know. We'll probably find out for sure at Toy Fair, but I haven't. It's been a while since I've seen anything on the Street Shark front. So, also, thanks to Mr. Home Arcade, looks like the Voltac Cartoon Collection Masters of the Universe Origin figure. Our first look at that. Uh, I don't remember this guy, but I guess he appeared in the She-Ra cartoon. Mattel is doing a vote for the next WWE crowd fund project. So various rings that you can vote upon: Hell in the Cell, Steel Cage, Modern Elimination Chamber, Modern Punjabi Prison, and Elimination Chamber Classic. So I've actually never watched an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. The next one is coming up on March 1st, so I will probably try and check that out, though I will be in New York, so I'll have to watch it like on my computer or something. But again, you can vote now, and you have until February 28th, 12 p.m. Pacific time to cast your vote. So essentially, it's going to be another wrestling ring, but you get to vote and to help pick which one that you want to see them do. I guess this Elimination Classic Chamber looks pretty interesting. Looks almost like these are made of bamboo or something. I don't know. Like I said, I've never actually watched an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, so this next week's will be the first one I've ever watched. Which I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed that John Cena just gets like an automatic bid in there. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to see John Cena win the Elimination Chamber, though. I feel like he's probably going to. Definitely don't want Logan Paul to win it either. Let's see what else. Anything else? No, that's about it on the Mattel front. Nothing really new since we talked on Wednesday on the NECA toy front. For you Turtle fans, however, Joy Toy. Oh, real quick, this Lord of the Rings animated movie, if you have HBO Max, it'll begin streaming on February 28th. This was released in theaters a few months ago. But if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, and again, you have HBO Max, you'll be able to watch it at home. Again, starting on February 28th. McFarlane did a few figures for that movie. Smaller scale figures, but figures nevertheless. As previously mentioned by you guys, another one of those Storm Arena Street Fighter figures from Storm Collectibles. These are the cheaper ones, only costing $27. Sometimes I feel funny saying only $27, but definitely in today's action figure market, that's pretty cheap. But you get 2 head sculpts, you get his power effect, you get a stand for it, so, and multiple pairs of hands. So again, that's available at Big Bad Toy Store, just like all Storm collectible figures are. So that's the second one from Street Fighter Alpha in this new Storm Arena line. Ken was the first one, so you can still pre-order Ken as well if you want. For you Hiya Toy fans, the new Godzilla figure, Heat Ray Godzilla, which is a previous exclusive, so you can get this at Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, comic book stores. You can request it through your comic book stores. So, yet another Godzilla figure. We also, yesterday, we talked about this, I think last week, or maybe it was on Wednesday, but these Lord of the Ring 7-inch scale figures from Diamond Select Toys are now available for pre-order. So the Aragon and the Gladriel figures, again from Diamond Select Toys, you can pre-order at either Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth. Going back to McFarlane, this Joker figure that was supposed to be going up yesterday, was it yes, yesterday. It was when this figure was supposed to go up, but then last minute McFarlane announced it had been delayed for some reason. Don't know why. It's an Amazon exclusive, and they haven't given a new date for when it's going to be available, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But this Killing Joke covered, comic cover figure, second in the line for this, got delayed and did not go up for pre-order yesterday. For you Turtle fans, Joy Toy has a new round of figures. It's Casey Jones, Zorax, and the Triceraton, and Infantryman, and Zork. So I got to tell you, these weapons in this bag, I feel like are just a little too big. Especially like when you look at this figure here. So these are smaller scale figures, of course, but I just like this just looks kind of funny to me. I mean, you're carrying around a bag with these weapons sticking. So otherwise, it's a pretty good looking figure, and you can put some armor pieces on him and some skates. So those are all the accessories that you get with Casey Jones. Triceraton guys. So these all look pretty good. As far as I know, these have not gone up for pre-order anywhere yet, but these are your next round of turtle figures from Joy Toy. If you've been collecting this line, then you might want to check these out. We talked about this one. This will be available in the Jazzwares Vault February 28th. I know we talked about the figures, the Hardys. I don't know if we talked about the date last time we checked, but if you want to get this one set, and I do expect this set to sell out probably pretty quickly. It's limited to 3,000, so I don't expect it to last too long. The Hardys are pretty popular, starting out obviously in the WWE, which, by the way, I believe they're going to be showing up. Maybe it was this week or next week on NXT. I don't really watch NXT, so let's see. So that I think is pretty much everything but Marvel Legends. So let's delve into the Marvel Legend news. Alrighty, from yesterday's live stream. I'm sure you probably watched the live stream itself, and since yesterday, I'm sure there's been like 20 other videos that have popped up online talking about this stuff. But let's just go down it anyway. One thing I want to let you guys know, which by now others maybe have picked up from me, but if you were wondering what yesterday's teaser was with that missile, when we get to that image. So this missile they teased was their teaser for the live stream at the end. I can tell you with about 99.9% certainty, this is an accessory that will be going with the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Hulk figure that I've told you about several different times. So that, like I would say about 99.9% sure that is what the accessory will be for, which I noted in our coverage on Marvelous News yesterday. All right, so as I said at the beginning of the video, and when we talked on Wednesday, I was thinking maybe we were going to get Daredevil Disney Plus series figure reveals based on the teaser that Mr. Evans had put out on his Instagram. In fact, what he was teasing was the Spider-Verse figures with the different colors, the white and the maroon. But again, it's not what we talked about on Wednesday should still be coming. It wasn't revealed yesterday. And I don't know when it will be revealed. Again, Toy Fair is going to be next Saturday. Hasbro will be there, but don't expect a ton of things. Hasbro's, based on pre-COVID Toy Fair, this is not the same kind of Toy Fair. Hasbro has just a booth at Javits. Like, it's the first time I've ever seen them just have a booth at Javits in all the years I've covered Toy Fair. Usually they rent out a showroom off-site. So I'm not expecting much. Dwight said yesterday he's not even going to be at Toy Fair, so it's just going to be like Ryan. So, they're not even sending all their brand team members out to Toy Fair. So, not a couple of new reveals at most for each brand is what I would expect from Toy Fair based on what they were saying yesterday. So does that mean we will see Daredevil figures at Toy Fair? It is certainly possible, but I honestly don't know. But again, those figures should be coming sometime this year. I just don't know when. But again, getting back to what they did actually reveal. So Spider-Verse figures. Now, just because I like to toot my own horn a little bit, I told you these were coming back in November of last year. You'll see here Spider-Man Second Wave, Black Cat, and 5 variant Spider-Man costume figures. I didn't know the names of all the figures. I've not really played the game, and asking me to name all the suits, I could not do. So I managed to identify a couple: the Brooklyn one, the weird flag-looking one. Obviously, I knew Black Cat and Black Costume Spider-Man, and then also I told you, and to be fair, David Model Behavior had also called out Black Cat previously. And then the Gamerverse 10.5-inch Mega Deluxe Venom figure. So let's start with that. Let's start with our Mega Deluxe figure. So this one stands, it's not just a deluxe, it's a Mega Deluxe. It stands 10 point, what was it? 10.5 inches tall. And it's bulky. It's not just tall, it's bulky. When it looked even, when they showed it, I was like, damn, that's pretty big. So I've seen a lot of people being like, why wasn't this a Build-A-Figure in the Spider-Man wave? And well, because it's too big. It's not just a regular size figure, or even like a deluxe size figure, which is what, a Build-A-Figure these days. I know I've seen some people, well, Toy Biz back in the day, they did like really tall figures. Yeah, well, Toy Biz did that for a couple of waves and then they stopped, and they've never done the big, giant, tall Marvel Legend Build-A-Figure since then. So, that was over 20 years ago. But he is pretty big, and he's bulky. He's got a decent size to him. So he's got the tongue with the drool, which is removable. You can remove the drool pieces. He's got 2 heads, so he's got a tongue head and he's got the just normal head. He's got a tentacle piece you can attach to his arm and use it to grab other figures. He's got the smiley face head. So that's your Mega Deluxe Venom, which is going to cost you $60. That is the price. $59.99 is the official price for this one. Going up for pre-order on February 27th, so next Thursday at 1 p.m. if you want to add this one to your collection. And I'll be honest, I have no interest in this figure whatsoever. I've not really played the game. To me, I Venom shouldn't be this big. So a Venom this size is not really an interest to me. I assume he gets that big in the video game, but for me personally, it's just not a figure I'm interested in. But if you like your Venoms really big and what have you, then that might be one that you want to check out. And then for the regular Spider-Verse figures, Black Cat, Miles Morales, Brooklyn suit, the Anti-Venom suit, Miles Bulwark, whatever suit, the flag suit, Miles Morales upgrade suit, and Game Reverse Peter Parker black suit, which is probably out of these Spider-Man figures, I'm going to say is going to be the most popular. Black Cat there wearing the full black suit, no cleavage showing, white stripes. Looks more like a costume that you see Storm wearing, but again, I've never played the game. She does have the long hair. Head sculpt looks pretty good on this one. It's using, pinless stuff, one of the updated female bodies. So I like the lenses that they have on the goggles. That looks pretty good. And she has 2 pairs of hands, and then she also has that wand of Wachovia or whatever they call it. So this is the flag suit Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I'm saying flag suit because I'm not going to try and pronounce. And it does have can see the sculpted webbing on his head there and on his chest. And he has a web effect, multiple, all the figures come with 3 pairs of hands. This is the Brooklyn one. It's got kind of the baggy pants. He's got most of them come with just a web line. He comes with the web splat effects. Nice and shiny on the helmet. Upgrade suit style Spider-Man. So the red, white, and blue. He has the electric hand effects. This is another Miles Morales one. Anti-Venom suit. Normally Anti-Venom's white. I forget what they gave the reason for doing this blue version. Doesn't look bad. I don't know if this is how he looks in the game. Though on the side picture it looks different. So, though maybe it's an alternate skin. I don't know. Has the web line, multiple hands, 2 head sculpts on this one. Again, like I say, this one I think is probably going to be your most popular one in this wave. The black suit Spider-Man has the symbiote effect. Looks like has this kind of symbiote texturing to it, kind of to differentiate it from regular comic black suit Spider-Man. But I like this tentacle effect piece that they're including with it. Again, multiple hands. So it's a 6-figure wave, no Build-A-Figure. These go up for pre-order on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. These are multi-channel releases, so basically these are available online. I don't think they specifically said Amazon, but I'm going to guess they will be available on Amazon, GameStop, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, Hasbro Pulse. So all the usual online folks. Now, besides that, we've got a couple of store exclusives that they announced. This is a Walmart one, the Spirit Spider. This will going up for pre-order next month, likely during the next Walmart Collector Con, which we still have not gotten a date for. But I'm still guessing either I'm guessing either. I'm going to say, they always start on a Thursday, so I'm guessing either March 6th or 13th would be my best guess for when we'll see the next Walmart Collector Con. But sometime in March, definitely. And again, with these Walmart ones, almost definitely during the next Walmart Collector Con. So this one and that 77 TV series Spider-Man will be going up for pre-order at the same time, which again will be sometime next month. Multiple pairs of hands on that. And these, again, are Gamerverse figures. And then Kingpin, Spider-Man 2 video game, deluxe Amazon exclusive Kingpin. This is an Amazon exclusive. Again, supposed to go up sometime in March, actually March 27th. We did get a date on this one. March 27th is when this one will be going up. So black suited Kingpin, if that's something you've been wanting. Said to use Mr. Fix-It parts. So it's not just like a straight up repeat of the previous Kingpin. Has the little pinky ring, 2 head sculpts, has the ruby on the cane, top of the cane there. So I figure this will be another probably popular one. I think people like to get this one. This one's going to cost you $40. About the same height as the other Kingpins that they've done, but I just want to go back. Oh, actually, they did give a date. They didn't mention it in the live stream, but in the press release that they sent out afterwards, it does say March 13th. So that probably means that's when Walmart Collector Con is going to be. So let me just verify that's a Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So March 13th. So I was close. I said either March 6th or 13th. I hadn't actually bothered to read that. So March 13th. And again, that's when the 77, a lot of you guys have been asking, the one that they revealed a couple months ago, the TV series Spider-Man, that should be going up at the same time. So mark your calendars for March 13th. That is when the next Walmart Collector Con, I imagine, is going to be kicking off. See, doing a little bit of deduction there to figure these things out. Finally, we got a X-Fat Force 2-pack, Warpath and X-23 in their black and gray colors. So these aren't just like repaints. X-23 does have some new parts to her. A little confusing on the Warpath. In the stream, Dwight mentioned that this used the newer Omega Red scale body. But then I've seen other people, and I don't generally dissect these things like you guys do, but saying that it was using a Venom figure body parts, not Omega Red. So, which people said was better because that figure had better articulation than the Omega Red. So, and this is using the newer, smaller female body that they've come up with. And you get 2 heads with X-23, a masked head, open mouth, and then one without the mask. Gritting her teeth. Warpath comes with 2 knives. You can put the knives in the sheaths on his back of his belt, and he comes with an extra pair of hands. So again, they didn't mention when this was going up for pre-order, but looks like it's going to go up on March 12th. So March 12th for this one, this 2-pack, which this again should be a multi-channel release. So places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, I'm guessing Amazon probably will have it as well. $49.99 for this 2-pack. Now there's rumor they tease that we'll probably see some more figures from this team, and based on rumors, and this rumor came from Displaying Model Behavior. I've not seen anything for it yet myself, but there should be an Archangel figure in these colors coming as well at some point. I don't know if there'll be any others, but Archangel is likely what they were teasing at the live stream. So yeah, I think that covers everything. Yeah, so that is your end of the week news update. Let's just see what you guys are saying. Sorry, just trying to get back to last comments that I read. And he says, "Big Bad Toy Store for." I missed that Mayfex Daredevil, so I missed that. Or how big is the Kingpin from the video game? Does he look really cool? Yeah, he looks cool. He's in black. Like I said, they showed a comparison, I think, with some of the other Kingpins in the video yesterday, and maybe not exact, but pretty close to the same height. So, but yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. CJ says, "Finally, Mask." Yeah, I know. I mean, I personally have not never been a huge Mask fan, but I know over all the ever since I've been covering this hobby, you know, somebody's always asking about Mask. When are we going to see the return of Mask? So finally, we're going to be getting it. Now, from what I've seen or what I've read, um, it's going to be in the same scale as the original toy line. So it's not like a 6-inch scale Mask line or something like that. That's coming from the loyal subjects. Phil, yes, I will be in New York next Saturday. Maurice got both Batmans from Big Bad Toy Store. Congrats. Steve Areno, yeah, I can't wait to see all the newly sculpted Star Wars Black Series figures and the 3 vintage collection repaints on the fan stream. Maurice, the new Spidey wave is kind of disappointing. I only get Black Cat. The rest were pretty meh to me. The Warpath and X-23 2-pack might be an eventual pickup if it gets cheap enough. So yeah, like again, I've never really even played the game, but I thought that game was considered pretty popular by folks. It's like I look at like a game like Arkham Asylum, and people like go nuts when anybody ever does like Arkham Asylum video game figures. But then like it's like Spider-Man video game people's and people are just like, yeah. I don't know if it's because like most of the figures are just variants of Spider-Man, um, but I don't know. Kobo Cup says Star Wars is 100% nobody's fault but Disney. Watcher says bring back Nerf swords. Watcher says Secret Wars Avengers movies will boost toy sales. I think there's probably a good chance of that. Yeah, I think Hasbro will hold on to the Marvel Legend license and at least through those movies. And I got to be honest, as much as people like to rip into Hasbro, I personally cannot see another company being able to take over Marvel Legends. I don't see it. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. That's not to say another company couldn't do Marvel figures, but I don't think they would be Marvel Legends. So I feel like once Hasbro gives it up or loses it, whatever, um, I feel like that's going to be the end of Marvel Legends, at least as we know it. Maybe not the name, but the figures themselves. Matthew, Salome is sleeping in the chair behind me, so she's having her nap. Sorry, guys. I guess you guys just weren't exciting enough for her to stay stay awake, or I wasn't exciting enough. I don't know. Krista says, "I hear Star Trek is the reason Star Wars became a thing." So I hear your point. It's kind of weird. The original Star Trek series began in the '60s. Okay, 1960s. It only lasted for 3 seasons. Um, it developed a huge fan base, but never was like a super strong performer in the ratings department. So it was like one of those shows. It was always like on the verge of cancellation. Like I said, it only lasted 3 seasons. So, but Star Trek is probably, when you talk about sci-fi, is one of the most notable sci-fi shows, series, brands, whatever out there. Okay. So then George Lucas came along and he did this little thing called Star Wars as a movie and Star Wars. So I'm sure George maybe got some inspiration from Star Trek as just a sci-fi. Much of Star Wars inspiration comes from like samurai movies and stuff, but I'm sure to some extent Star Trek and the popularity that Star Trek generated, the fan base that Star Trek generated after the show had gone off the air. I mean, Star Trek became so much more popular in syndication well after it was off the air than it ever was while it was filming new episodes and stuff. But then George did this movie Star Wars, which blew up, became this huge blockbuster. Um, George Lucas was smart enough that he kept the licensing, like anything, he didn't sell off the licensing to a movie studio or something like that, which was generally what would happen back then. He kept those licensing rights. So it wasn't just the movie itself, it was all the licensing and stuff that George got a piece of because he kept those rights. And it blew up and it became super popular. So then somebody went, you know what? It was another popular sci-fi, Star Trek. Let's make a Star Trek movie since we see now that people like sci-fi and will go to the movie theaters to watch sci-fi. So then they went back to Gene Roddenberry, who was the one who created Star Trek, and they said, let's make a movie. And we got Star Trek, the motion picture, shortly after, 1979, I believe, is when Star Trek, the motion picture came out. Great visual movie. Soundtrack is awesome from if you've ever watched it. The visuals are gorgeous, the ships and stuff. The overall plot, the movie was way too long. It was a little bit on the boring side. Um, I always found it an interesting story, but it needed to be cut down. It was way too long, and so that movie did not do particularly well at the box office. Then Star Trek Two came out. Star Wars continued to be a huge performer. Empire Strikes Back, which is probably, I think, by many perceived as the best Star Wars movie of the entire franchise. And then they did Star Trek Two: The Wrath of Khan, where they was like, you know what, we got to make this more action oriented, more exciting, and which of course worked. Star Trek Two was hugely popular, but it was kind of like, I don't know which one really gets more credit for the other one, but Star Trek started, then we got the Star Wars movie, then we got the Star Trek movies. Eventually, Star Trek went back to TV series, and so on and so forth. So they really kind of build off of each other. Um, and I love them both. I've always loved them both. My mom was a huge Star Trek fan. My grandfather was a huge Star Trek fan. Um, Obviously, I wasn't alive when the original series came out, but again, I watched all of those original episodes on syndication. Where I live, they came on Sunday mornings. So every Sunday morning, I'd watch an episode of Star Trek. And then Star Wars, I fell in love with because the first time I saw it in movie theaters. So there's your little Star Trek Star Wars brief history lesson. Where it says, just so you know, the head and cape in the Rob picture isn't the McFarlane head. It's a Mezco head with a custom cape. That is good to know. But I still think it looks pretty good. I feel sorry for Batman fans since McFarlane is the primary source for figures. I, you know, I don't know. McFarlane has their haters and they have their they have a pretty huge fan base. So it's like you either hate or you love McFarlane. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Just wish he had more stuff to I buy. Assume you're talking about McFarlane. Matthew, if Hasbro listened to their Star Wars fans, they would know to make more expanded universe characters or characters from the Legends material. Hasbro would make bank. I think it is fair to say, as far as Hasbro and Star Wars, it's not like Hasbro can just go, let's make whatever we want to make today. Yeah, they have to get approval, which I can only tell you secondhand. I don't know this 100% certainty, but I've heard it from multiple sources that say, dealing with Lucas Arts or Lucasfilms / Disney for approval on any kind of Star Wars licensing is a very difficult thing, which perhaps does play a role in where Star Wars is. The other thing about, both Marvel and Star Wars is, these lines have just been years and years and years, decades, where we've been getting products for these lines, and it's just like you do kind of hit a wall where it's like, and it's been, there have been brief pauses like with Star Wars, but Hasbro's been cranking out Star Wars pretty nonstop for, since I've been in college. That's not even counting, Kenner days and stuff. But so, that I think it's just kind of a burnout thing, I think, as well. The big difference, I think, between Star Wars and Marvel is you've got somebody like Jesse Falcon, who is on the Disney side of things, who obviously, was originally with Toy Biz, on the ground floor of Marvel Legends. And so he's able to give a lot better direction to Hasbro, and knows what to, has a much better feel for the line than whoever that equivalent is on the Star Wars side, which I have no idea who that is. But I think somebody like Jesse Falcon deserves a lot of credit for Marvel Legends, being a pretty strong performer year after year for over 20 years. So, and originally because he was, there at Toy Biz, but then when Toy Biz got dissolved, he basically moved over and, managed the Marvel licensed products for Disney. So, a CJ with action grip. CM Punk will win. I see we were talking about the Elimination Chamber. I don't know, man. I think Cena's gonna win. I don't want him to win. I don't hate Cena. Cena's basically retired. Cena's a movie star. Wrestling is just, why make somebody like that the WWE champion, or even have them compete for the belt when they're not a full-time wrestler? So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he won't win, but I think Cena's going to win the Elimination Chamber and then go on to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. But the one thing I don't like about a lot of these influencers on YouTube, they will say how bad things are getting in America with inflation. So I don't know if that's a partial thought or what. So, but high price, nobody's ever going to like high prices. Oh, they never say how bad things are in America. I meant to type with inflation. I don't listen to, I mean, to be absolutely honest, I don't personally listen to other YouTube influencers or whatever you want to call them, reviewers, influencers, what? I don't know why you would need a YouTube person to tell you the prices are high. I think you can go look at the prices and make that determination yourself. We've kind of, ever since the maximum Spider-Man $50 Spider-Man, we've kind of had variants of this conversation. But again, I will just say, if you have the money and you want it and think you enjoy it, buy it. If you don't, or you don't think it's worth the money or whatever, don't buy it. What I don't like is seeing people who basically, and I've seen a few people, especially again with this maximum Spider-Man figure, whether it's they're running on Facebook or they're making videos and then running on Facebook to spam their videos, where they're basically telling you you're too stupid to know that you shouldn't be paying $50 for this figure. I don't need you to tell me what to spend my money on, okay? And I try not to do that. I'll tell you my own personal opinion. I will tell you, and again, as I said with the Spider-Man, I didn't buy this Spider-Man, but I certainly not angry at anyone who did. I'm not like, oh my God, why did you pay $50 for that figure? And it wasn't really the price per se that I didn't buy it. I just didn't feel like I needed another Spider-Man. But that's where I get, it's one thing if you say, I don't really want it, it's not my thing. But it's another when you start like getting mad, or you start telling people not to buy it and you're an idiot if you buy it. Because again, if I have $50 to be able to spend on an action figure, you know maybe I'm not the idiot. I mean, if I have the money to spend, then maybe I'm not the idiot. But I think everyone can make up their own minds. They don't need to be told what to buy or what not to buy. So, you know, that's why, again, my job is to inform you about these things. And I even don't mind in these live streams sharing my opinions about things. But I'm not here to tell you what to buy or what not to buy. You're smart enough to be able to make that determination for yourself. We all have different circumstances. We all have different financial situations and such. We all have different, like I've said many times. For me, it's less about money and it's more about space. I just don't have the space for every single thing that comes out, even if I think it's cool. So that limits what I buy. And like I say, we all have different things. So that it's totally cool if you don't want to buy something or you think it's too expensive or what. But what's not cool is getting mad at people or telling them what they should be buying and what they shouldn't be buying. That I think is just complete bullshit. And it's either people trying to get attention for themselves, trying to outrage people to get attention for themselves, to build views or clicks or whatever. And that's really how I see it. And again, that type of trend on social media, it goes well beyond action figures. That's how everything works now, whether it's politics, whether it's whether the sky. I mean, you could literally find people to argue whether the sky is blue or not. I mean, that's just really where the state of social media is these days. And so it's just, to me, it's kind of crazy. But again, buy it if you want it. Don't don't buy it if you don't want it or you think it's too expensive, but then just go on with your life. And if you think the hobby's gotten too expensive, then it's probably time to find another hobby. I mean, that's just, or enjoy what you already have. I mean, that's I you know like I could not buy another single figure for the rest of my life, and I should be able to enjoy the things that I've already purchased. So that I have to keep buying things. That's almost becomes like an addiction sometimes with some people. And and if that's really why you're collecting, then maybe you need to rethink that as well. I don't know. But that's my thoughts. Every time we talk about these prices and stuff, that's really where I come from. And if you want to call me a shill or an influencer or whatever for that, go right ahead. But that's not how I see it. Again, my job is to inform you about the product, and then you are smart enough. I have all the confidence in the world that 99% of you are smart enough to be able to determine what to buy and what not to buy. And you don't need me to tell you that. Storm Rising, Super 7, talk about a company. I don't know. Oh, that does remind me, though, for you Thundercat fans, a little update. So, Super 7 will be at Toy Fair next weekend. They're expected to announce some new licensings. And in regards to this LGN Vultureman and Sky Cutter, I believe this comes from an interview Veebs did on the Fush, or not Fush, but Robo Don't Know YouTube channel. But looks like the price of this is going to, this Vultureman with the Sky Cutter based on LGN colors and stuff is going to be $150. Don't know exactly when it's going to go up for pre-order, but just to give you a pricing update on that, originally revealed by Toy Collector Magazine. Again, $150 looks like what the price of that is going to be. And again, Super 7 will be at Toy Fair next week. And we should be getting some new licensing announcements from Super 7. I don't know exactly what, but look for that. With Star Wars, I also I wonder, Star Wars is like a rare bird, and I almost feel like vintage collection, like most of the brands these days, most of these brands at one time had the smaller scale stuff, GI Joe, Marvel, what have you. But most brands, it's the 6-inch stuff that is much more popular than the smaller scale stuff. But that seems not to be the case with Star Wars these days. Seems like there's more vintage collection collectors out there these days than there are actually like 6-inch Black Series fans. So it's just, and I'm not knocking either line. I probably personally preferred the Black Series over Vintage Collection, but both were solid lines. But that's kind of like Star Wars is kind of like the odd bird, and that it seems like these days there's actually more fans of the smaller scale than there are the larger scale. Hey, Mr. Allmine, what is up? Edward says, I love the Street Sharks line, but it does pegworm at all 5 of Targets I visit each week. I would not be surprised if they cancel the line, and I guess it will never get Extreme Dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't know if I've actually even seen any Street Shark figures at like Target or anytime I've gone into Target or Walmart. That's what I hate about Target and Walmart is if they just, and I don't know who's more to blame, whether it's the retailer or the toy manufacturer, but if they could just fix their distribution of these things so that instead of piling them all up at just a handful of their stores where they then sit there and collect dust, if they just got them out across the country to all of their stores where you might have a chance of finding them, somebody like me who I never see jack shit on shelves at the retail around here. And I mean, it's not like I live in some sparse area of the country or something. I live in a fairly metropolitan area, but yet I never see anything on the shelves around me. If they could just, if toy companies and the and the retailers could just figure that out and fix their distribution, they probably would have better sales at the big box stores. But again, it seems like it all goes to places near the shipping ports and stuff, and they pile up there, and then they collect dust, and then they end up getting shipped off to the discounters. CJ, I don't know who everyone is, dude, but I'm telling you, Hulk. Okay, lots of people out there talking out of their ass, but I can tell you, 99.9% it's Hulk. I mean, and I'm not even sure what War Machine figure they'd even be talking about. And I suppose it's, again, you never know with accessories because it is something sometimes they use with more than one figure. But I will tell you, 99.9% sure that that missile will be included with the Hulk Max figure. Store. See, I mean, that's cool that you're like the imports, but for me, I don't really like the imports. I'm not a huge Mafex fan. They break very easily. I don't know. I'm not. I've never been. It's not just price with those. It's just they look good. Definitely, they look good, but when you actually get them in hand and stuff, I actually prefer Marvel Legends over a Mafex or an SH Figure Arts figure. Salome has woken up, everybody. So, for those who are wondering, 59. I do not have price on Hulk. My best guess has been, and I'm sticking with it, $65. But I do not have any pricing information for Hulk. Vlad, good to see you, my friend. Terex, it would be great to get a sequel to the supervillain wave, maybe a Daredevil wave, a Fantastic Four wave. I feel like Hasbro's kind of moved away from the solid waves, except for X-Men and Spider-Man, which I think are their best sellers. But it seems like they kind of mix things up with everything else, like mixing Avengers and Fantastic Four, even sometimes X-Men in with those waves. And I mean, another thing that's you have to like, and I honestly I don't know if that's what they're still doing, but they got, especially around COVID time, they started doing the solid case waves, where like even though it was like a 7-figure wave with a build a figure, they were shipping to stores in solid cases. So like in some stores we get half the figures in the wave, and then other stores we get the other half of the figures in the wave. So like you'd go to a Target or a Walmart and you wouldn't see like all seven figures that you need to complete like the build a figure. And so that was causing problems and things like that. Um, and again, I don't know if they fixed any of that or what, but if you're talking about the video game Venom, it's $60. Hasbro released the pricing information on that. It's $60 if that's the Venom you're asking about. Eric says he's getting Kingpin to go with his Marvel Knight shelf. I also feel like if you were collecting the Across the Spider Verse stuff, I mean, it doesn't look exactly the same, but I feel like that black suit Kingpin might work with those as well. Oh yeah, the video game Kingpin is much bigger than the Disney Plus one. But as opposed to the comic book Kingpins that we've gotten, roughly about the same size. And maybe a little bit taller, or maybe I don't have the exact measurements, and I just I'd have to go back and watch the live stream to say for sure. But I want to say they're pretty comparable in size. Watcher says we need a comic Daredevil wave. They like anytime we get Daredevil figures, they always mix them in with Spider Man. What's up, Quinn? The Kingpin is the same size as the Joe Fixit Hulk figure. So, but I couldn't tell you. I haven't put a side by side comparison of Joe Fixit with the previous comic figure, but and again, they did mention that in the live stream that it used Joe Fixit parts, the Kingpin figure. What's up, John? Automatom, have you heard anything lately about Premium DNA? Those Earthworm Jim figures were close to coming out last year, and then Radio Silence. I have not. I've heard people complaining about it, but yeah. Best thing I can tell you is hopefully any of those Premium DNA figures, you ordered them from someplace like Big Bad Toy Store, so that if they end up getting canceled, you'll get your money back. But I have not heard anything specific other than, again, I've heard, you're not the first one to say, um, that, there's been very little communication from Premium DNA, here in recent months, which is never a good sign. Jack says the games are awesome. It's just selection being primarily two characters. Yeah, that's kind of like when you compare it to like Batman Arkham Asylum, you've got a lot more villains and different characters. The Bat family and stuff. So I can see that you just have a wider selection of characters to choose from for something like Batman Arkham Asylum. People say Clarence Chicken. Actually, never heard that that term, but I know what you're talking about. You're going to miss out on figures and end up paying higher prices on the secondary market. Discount stores aren't getting figures like they used. Yeah, I mean, even last year we saw some stuff end up on clearance, but it was much less than the year before, which was due to way overproduction from the COVID years, and companies have definitely cut back on their productions since then. So, stuff is getting produced in smaller quantities overall. Is Kingpin supposed to be as big as Thor? Asked Everett. Are you talking about like in the comics? Kingpin is wider than Thor. I don't know if he's taller than Thor. Um, Certainly not stronger than Thor. Though Kingpin is pretty strong. I mean, he doesn't have superhuman strength, but Kingpin is a pretty strong dude. Like in the comic, I mean, if you really think about it, Kingpin in the comics is not really, when you're comparing it to real life people, not I don't you know Kingpin I would equate to being like the size of Andre the Giant, just using a real life person as, and but wider, like, and he's not fat. Well, he's not really fat. Most of that's supposed to be like muscle. Um, Unlike another character that often, at least used to be kind of compared with Kingpin, the Slug. I don't know how many of you guys remember that one, but that was like he was a Miami crime boss, if I remember, and he was like just really big and fat. But Kingpin is more muscle than fat. But like I say, I would equate Kingpin, you know, in real life, if he was in real life, you know, the actor playing him in the Disney Plus Netflix shows, he's a little bit on the small side for an accurate comic book. I mean, he does a great job playing the character. Vincent, does a great job playing that character, but size wise, he is probably smaller than what the Kingpin, what we would envision a real life Kingpin being. So I would put it more like the size of Andre the Giant, but bulkier. Austin already pre-ordered the 80 McFarlane on Big Bet. Never have owned. Wow, you're first. Congrats. I've got. So I still have my original Toy Biz Michael Keaton Batman figure from back in the day. That had the little belt that was the string. Um, so that was my first Michael Keaton Batman figure that I got as a kid back in '89, and I still have that same figure today. I got the Mezco one. I've got the Hot Toys one. I've got the Flash McFarlane one. I've got the box set McFarlane one. I've got the Mattel little 5-inch one that they did, or 4-inch one that they did. Um, so I got a lot of Michael Keaton Batman. It's my favorite Batman. Um, that original Batman movie is still remains my favorite Batman movie. So I have, and like I said, I pre-ordered the one today, and I like, one day, please, somebody give us a 7-inch scale Jack Nicholson Joker. I just like, please, somebody. Um, closest we've gotten is the Beast Kingdom 8-inch one, and obviously Hot Toys did a 12-inch one. Um, and we've gotten some kind of generic, we've gotten generic Jokers that don't really look like Jack Nicholson, but that's what they're basically supposed to be. But I want somebody to give us an actual 7 and I want to go with 7 because that's the primary scale of the Batman figures. So I want somebody to give us a 7-inch scale Jack Nicholson Joker that looks like Jack Nicholson. Steve Arena, anybody getting the 1/18 scale Space 1999 Eagle One ship on? No, I mean I'm not. I'm not saying nobody is, but I have never watched that show. It was never on. I don't remember it ever being on when I was a kid. I'm aware of the show, but I've never watched an episode of that, and primarily again because it was never on as a kid, so I just never watched. Like I watched Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, which not technically the same thing, but like shows like that I watched, but I never watched. Um, I've never seen an episode of Space 1999. I assume you mean Buck, and no. Um, in the live stream, they said the newer Omega Red body, but I've seen other people say that it's actually not Omega Red. It's one of the more recent Venom figures, but it's not the same Buck as the original Warpath. I don't have exact dimensions. I mean, we can. They said the smaller female body that they did. So I mean, they're kind of crotched down, but there's kind of your comparison there. And this one, they said new parts, but it's not a completely new body. I want to say they did from the previous X-23. So I think like new leg, new pinless. I don't remember if I don't think the previous X-23 had pinless. That one's upstairs. I'd have to go look at it. I feel you're right. There was you're right, but it was Star Wars. It was the success of Star Wars why they changed their minds and made it a movie. But you're right. Originally, they were going to do a Star Trek Phase Two. In fact, in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, there's a Vulcan who gets screwed up in the transporter, and that guy was actually going to be in the TV series, and so was the guy in Star Trek: The Motion Picture that was talking to the Enterprise from the space station before it got gobbled up by V'ger. That guy was also going to be in the new series, in that new TV series. Coco Yvonne. Yep, she was. She got around in a lot of different. She popped up in a lot of different shows of that era. I would go. She was okay, but she wasn't. Counselor Troy was not. I wouldn't. I mean, I guess for Star Trek: The Next Generation, because you just had her, Doctor Crusher. Actually, like, because I prefer redheads, so I actually like Doctor Crusher more than Counselor Troy. Coco, whose idea was the stupid dude? I think that was more of just a cost thing, but the way to throw in something extra but not be super expensive. Coco says last year got the Star Wars Vintage Collection. I bought Django Deluxe and Cantina Haslab. See, I had moved away from vintage. I got the Razor Crest Haslab. In fact, that's the only Star Wars Haslab I backed. And then, of course, they blew up the ship before the thing even got released on the TV show. And then I was like, ah, fuck it. I was tempted to get the ship from Rebels, the Ghost. That one was pretty sweet, but by that point, I basically totally quit collecting vintage collections, so I didn't end up getting it. And again, space often comes into factor. Like I said this before, but like if I could trade the Razor Crest in, if like somebody wanted to trade who has the Ghost wanted to trade a Razor Crest for the Ghost, I'd probably take him up on that deal in a heartbeat. I figure if I could get the giant, if I could get me as could get the Haslab here, then you could get the buy the Spider Man, and that I was not going to get the giant man, and it was like a last second thing. I'm still waiting on my eyes. I continue to see people in the UK get their updated eyes, but I'm not sure I've seen anyone in the US get their updated eyes for Giant Man. When people should just buy what they like, that's exactly what I do and enjoy the hobby so much more. Never let anyone tell you what to buy. Also, don't be negative. If you don't like it, just move on. I mean, I don't, the negative thing, it's kind of like a fine line because I have absolutely no problem with somebody who's giving an honest critique or says, this is why I don't. In fact, I'd rather, if you're going to say something sucks, then tell us why you think it sucks. No, that just sucks. Give us like what exactly about it you don't like. And I think constructive criticism is great. I think it can help designers and people at these toy companies when they hear constructive criticism. It doesn't mean they're going to do everything you say, but I think constructive criticism is a positive thing. But and some people will take that as being negative because you're saying you don't like it for this reason. But I don't have a problem with that. I don't think you just have to say everything is great or just be quiet. But when you just start going around saying everything sucks, or you don't give real reasons for why it sucks, or you start getting mad because people don't agree with you that it sucks, that's when you get into that negative field where I think you've just kind of lost sight of doing anything positive. But constructive criticism, I think can be a valuable tool for the toy companies and even for fans. I mean, if somebody's giving you a legitimate review, it, like for me personally, I know it sounds kind of funny, but I I've never felt really a need to go online and watch a toy review to determine if I want to buy it. I've always felt like the pictures and stuff, a few rare exceptions, but usually I can determine if it's something I want by just seeing the pictures and things like that. I've always found like in hand images are much better than like a video or something. Um, but if you've got somebody's reviewing a product and they're giving you and say they for whatever reason don't like it, and they're giving you, they're giving out constructive criticism about it, I think that's perfectly acceptable. Same thing if they like it, if they're giving detailed reasons on why they like it. Doesn't mean I have to like it or agree with them, but I can respect that. But and I wouldn't consider them a shill because they like something. Um, and again, most people, especially when you're talking toys, you know, these aren't professional reviewers. These are people who are just fans. So they're right off the bat going to be a little biased because they're a fan of the product line that they're reviewing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought it in the first place. And so, again, there's always going to be a little bit of bias, when you're looking at a review like that online or whatever. But, again, when you're talking negative, some people are like, just shut up and don't say anything if you don't like it. I don't necessarily agree with that. But I think you got to give constructive criticism if you're going to, take the time to say you don't like something. Chris, Super 7 many years ago, when they started showing us what they were going to make, they showed Galaxy Rangers. That's what I'm hoping for. Asiano just got a retro shocker, and it has sculpted lines in it, but they didn't paint them. It's not from Magneto, but I would agree with you that we could use. It's not like the one I have over here, the Magneto. It's a great looking figure. It's a little bit on the short side, but I actually forget which one that even is. Rooster Blue, the dude in the Hasbro Pulse video held the missile up to his mouth like the Hulk bit, forehead. Yeah. Again, when I tell you it's for the whole, that's not a guess. It's based on something I've seen. So, like I say, it's possible they could use that with other accessories. It's even possible things could change, but like since they're teasing that missile, I'm pretty sure it's for the Hulk. Like there was an accessory based on things I originally saw last year for the Spider-Man. There was one accessory that looks like they changed. I think it was a backpack originally, and they changed it to that web shield. So there's always things that can change. But again, I'm not like guessing here. I'm not, I mean, I won't say it's 100% until Hasbro confirms it, but that's what I'm saying. It's like 99% going to be for that Hulk figure. And I know as many times as I say that, there'll be still people who will run out and say, "I bet that's going to be for such and such figure or whatever." But no, it is. You can pretty much almost take it to the bank that it's going to be for the Maximum Hulk figure. Chris, I had a feeling of Venom. Yeah, it's 50 official MSRP on Venom is $59.99. Maximum Aunt May $69.99. Let's go. Could you could you imagine like an Aunt May with like 20 different accessories? I wonder. I do wonder. Like, would people buy? I mean, not everybody, but I wonder how many people would buy that. Like Aunt May with like just a shit ton of accessories. Quinn's Comics Maximum Mephisto for 2025. I'd be interested in that. I have a feeling with Maximum they're going to stick with the most well known characters. I don't think they're going to go into shallow. I don't think you're going to see a an obscure character for the Maximum line. I wouldn't necessarily be against that, but I don't see Hasbro going in that direction. Um, Came back with like a carded Daredevil single. Are you talking about MCU or comic? Because MCU, you're going to get your wish. Right now, I mean, eventually you probably will with comic, but not anything I've seen for the immediate future. Everett says, please give us more Hulk villains. I'm surprised we didn't get a leader figure for the new Captain America movie, though I suspect it's because Hasbro was not given. Um, we could end up with a leader figure down the road, but probably. And I haven't seen the Captain America movie yet, so I may go see it this Saturday, but I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if the leader is going to pop up again in the MCU or what, if he gets killed or what. So don't spoil it for me, um, but I would say possibly we'll see a MCU leader somewhere down the road, but probably didn't do it with the initial figures because they probably didn't weren't given the source material because they wanted to keep the figure under wraps or the character under wraps as long as possible. And I will be I am when it comes to MCU figures, I'd rather instead of getting an inaccurate MCU figure to have right away, I'd rather wait and get one that is accurate so I don't have to buy multiples. Which is something we used to see Hasbro do. Because they wanted it out at the time of the movie, so they'd rush something out that was based on early concept art or something, and so it really didn't look like it did in the movie. And then we'd have to wait like a couple years later to get the more accurate version. So um, I'd rather see them take their time. I know as far as like the movies themselves, it's good to have product out as the movie is being released, but for collector wise, I'm fine when they take their time and give us the more accurate version the first time. Ruckus says Fisk is 6.7 inches and Thor is 6.6 inches. So thank you for answering that earlier question. I think that was Everett's question. Kingpin, well, I don't think King Kong Bundy was that tall. Kingpin, from what I remember in the comics, towered over somebody like Daredevil. You know, Kingpin would be looking down at Daredevil, so he was wide like King Kong Bundy, but tall like Andre the Giant. I feel like, at least from the comics I remember. I mean, with comics, it's like it can change from whoever's drawing them and stuff, but Matthew says, "You'll take my Razor Crest off my hands. Do you have a ghost to give me? We can swap." Shumagorth should be coming, though I don't think he's actually going to be named Shumagorth. We talked about that, what, 2 weeks ago? I don't think we'll ever see an updated Edward Norton version of Hulk. I won't say it's impossible, but I think we'd probably see it like a Lou Ferrigno Hulk before we saw Edward Norton. All right, well, we've gone way over again, almost 5 o'clock now. But so next week again, I will play it by ear whether I'll be back on Monday, but if not on Monday, I'll be back on Wednesday before Toy Fair. Don't expect a video on Friday. I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, only thing Toy Fair wise really going on Friday is that Loyal Subjects event. So, where I do expect to get some mask news. So that'll be in the morning. Maybe I'll try and do something for that. But like, don't expect a normal news video on Friday. And then, again, I might get a few videos up over the weekend for Toy Fair, depending on what internet's like and stuff. But like I said, I don't know if I'll be on Monday. Depends on, if there's a lot of news between now and Monday. But again, if not Monday, then we'll definitely be back on Wednesday before I head to New York Toy Fair. And then next weekend, definitely we'll be getting some news from various companies. And then I'll be back on Monday. The following Monday, I will definitely be back. We'll recap everything that was revealed at Toy Fair. And then also, of course, anything, the quickest way to get news from Toy Fair will be the websites, TNI, Marvelous News, Jedi Insider, T-Formers. Again, Hasbro, Saturday afternoon, sometime between 5:30 and 8:30 Saturday afternoon is when you should expect seeing Hasbro stuff. It's not going to be like Toy Fairs of old. So only expecting, a couple reveals for each brand from Hasbro at most. I suspect they will have the Maximum Spider-Man on hand for folks to, play with it and stuff. So I don't know for me, but I'm sure you'll see some videos pop up online next weekend, giving you more of an actual in-hand look at that figure. Maybe they'll have Hulk on display there. I don't know. It's that since they're teasing it, that's quite possible. And I have no idea what else they might show. G.I. Joe live stream is next month, but they'll probably have a couple things for G.I. Joe, the same thing for Transformers, and a few things for Star Wars. Though again, we do have the Star Wars live stream next week, so we'll get some. It's to me, it's kind of weird that they're piling these live streams up right before Toy Fair, but since they're not having a huge presence at Toy Fair like they used to, that's probably why. But again, me and Salome, we appreciate you guys tuning in today, listening to me talk, update you guys. And big thanks to all the action figure enthusiast members out there. As always, just going that little extra mile, paying that little extra 99 cents. It is always much appreciated. And like I said, we're up to 40 last time I checked right before this video. But if you haven't become an action figure enthusiast member and you want to, please feel free to check out the link in the video description below. All right, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great weekend. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. For all the latest action figure news, be sure to head over to ToyNewsEye.com, MarvelousNews.com, JediInsider.com, and TFormers.com. And remember, action figures are great,